Hi YouTube, it's Maria Guild. So in this video, I want to share a little bit of an update and a situation that happened to our family recently and kind of the things that I learned from it. And I was kind of debating whether or not to make a video out of this. And I feel like there are some important things that I have learned recently that I wanted to share. And I believe that everything happens in our life for a reason. And even though you can't always see the reason immediately, for me at least, even though this was a pretty awful event for us to go through and pretty traumatic, I do see I have been able to kind of learn some lessons from it. And I wanted to share that with you guys today. So I'm not going to be able to get into every single detail because there is a court case out right now. But basically, we had an incident where someone came into our house and they attacked my family. And it was a pretty serious incident. It was kind of a life or death struggle there for a minute. But we were okay. We got out safe. And the suspect was able to be detained by the police. So the first thing I have to say in this whole situation that was, honestly, I don't wish it on my worst enemy. It was terrifying. It was traumatizing. It was very traumatic. It was kind of a worst fear scenario. But I have to say that through this incident, I clearly saw the hand of God in protecting us. We walked through fire, we walked through hell, but God was with us and God was taking care of us. During this incident, I was home, my young daughter was home, and my son was home. And the perpetrator did not touch my daughter. So that was a miracle from God, that God looked after her. Even though he got very close to her, he did not harm her in any way. I personally was attacked, and my son was home, which it was another miracle of God that he was home and he was able to help me. Anyways, I don't like talking about it too much, and it was an awful situation. But I will say that God is always with us, and He's always looking out for us, and He's always protecting us. And sometimes things happen to us, happen to people. Sometimes bad things happen, things that can't be explained. But I do know for sure and for a fact that God never gives us more than we can bear. And when we're walking through fire or any kind of trial or tribulation, that God walks with us. He's with us in the storm. He's with us in the fire. And as I look back on this, and as much as I wish I never went through it, we do clearly see the hand of God in so many little moments, crucial moments, little factors, things that could have been the difference between the way we came out and survived and not going as good. And I attribute it all to God and His protection and angels who are watching over us. Anyways, so that's all I'm going to say about that. The other thing that I feel like I really gleaned from this whole situation was, okay, so after we went through this, it took a couple days for me even just to process this. And it was a very, very difficult time for me. I was in kind of trauma and shock, and not only were we physically like in pain because there were some injuries, but just emotionally, nerve-wise, I mean, I was shocked. I remember the first few days after the incident, I would wake up in the morning sometimes and I would just cry, like I would bawl. And it was very hard. It was a hard situation to walk through. It was hard to see the effect it had on my children. And I feel like in those moments, there were a few key things that happened that really helped pull me through. And it felt very alone. It felt very isolating. But there were people who reached out to us and who really went above and beyond and took action to help us kind of in this really difficult season and period of our lives. And that's one thing I want to talk about a little bit, because before this incident, I had never really been through a severe trauma or anything like that. And often when I would hear of people going through things, or I would hear that, someone was really sick or had cancer or were going through a really, really difficult situation, I often would think of them and I would pray for them. And sometimes I would drop them a little message. But it kind of, that's as far as it went. But through this experience, I was able to see so clearly how important sometimes putting the thoughts of kindness or your concern for someone, putting them into a physical and tangible thing, like going and visiting them or sending them a gift card. Or, for example, after the incident, I called one of my friends and right away she was like, well, I'm going to bring dinner for you guys because I don't want you to have to worry about cooking. You guys have been through so much and I just want you to relax tonight and get better. And that was like, even though it's a small thing, like that was like an action that she did, and it was huge. Like it meant the world to me. And I'm the type of person that like, and I probably shouldn't be this way. I should be willing to ask for help more if I need help, but I don't. I don't like to ask for help. And there were many people who were like, well, if you need anything, call me or let me know. And I know I have done that in the past, where if I knew someone was struggling or if I knew they were having an issue, I would say, well, if you need anything, call me. But when I was on the opposite end of it and I was going through what I went through, I honestly felt like that was almost like something that, like a burden. I didn't have the wherewithal or the energy to get on the phone and call people. And I didn't, like a lot of times when people are going through pain or trauma, they end up suffering in silence because not a lot of us are really good at just reaching out and getting the help we need. We'll just bear it and we'll deal with it on our own. So knowing that that's how I reacted, I kind of went inward. I realized that if someone else is in a difficult situation, the last thing I need to say is tell them to reach out to me if they need help. And I know it seems like that's a good thing to say and that's a sincere thing to say, but honestly, I feel like now, from what I've learned, I feel like if I see somebody needs help, or if I see someone was in crisis, something like that, now I'm just going to take action. Like I'm just going to do something kind and actionable, and I'm just going to make it happen. Because I knew when I was in my situation, like that's what I needed. I needed someone to just say, look, I'm bringing dinner. Like I needed someone, or say, look, I'm coming over, I'm helping, or look, I'm going to send you a gift card in the mail, or just did something. Even if it was a card. I had a family member who I don't even know very well, and she had heard about the incident, and she sent me a little care package, and it was like a candle and some tea and honey. And oh my God, like that meant so much to me. It was a gesture, it was a small gesture, but you guys, you don't realize, like when someone's going through something, or they're in trauma, or they're battling something or dealing with something, a small little act of kindness like that can mean the world to them. It can make a night and day difference for them. So I realized through this horrible situation, the one thing I learned is that I want to be that kind of person for other people. It showed me so clearly how important doing something is for someone. Not just saying it, not putting the ball in their court, but actually doing something. And it really made me decide that that's the kind of person I want to be. And even though this was a really terrible experience to go through, and we really went through a lot, I feel like having that inside knowledge of kind of how to react or how to speak or how to be with people is invaluable to me. Like I feel like that's going to change who I am as a person, and it's going to help me to have the kindness and the empathy that I need when I see other people going through difficult things. So that's what I wanted to share. If you guys ever are in that situation, or if you hear of somebody that needs help or something like that, don't be afraid to take a little bit of action, to just do something. It doesn't have to be perfect. It can be small, but those little things, those little deeds, even just picking up the phone and calling them and just saying, I'm thinking about you today, even if it's 3 or 4 weeks after the incident, even if it's a month later. I actually, after this, I went proactively and I thought of all the people who I had heard were going through difficult things, and in my mind I said, you know what, I really never did much, besides like, oh, I'm so sorry you're going through that. What did I do for them? So I got on the phone with some people, and this was like 2 years after their trauma, and I sent them a message and I said, you know what, I was thinking of you today, and I realized how difficult a time you went through at that point, and I just want to let you know that you're so brave and I'm praying for you. Or I sent them a little gift or something like that. And of course, every single person I reached out to was so touched and so helped and healed. And I think it's just so important that we remember that we remember that little acts of kindness can have a ripple effect. They can go so much further than we ever imagined. And that's what we're put on this earth for. We're put on this earth to be actionable kindness to other people. And I really thought about it more, and I was like, the only way that good or evil enters into this world is through human beings. So I believe a lot of times we'll get thoughts. I don't think we can control our thoughts. Thoughts come, there is a spirit of good and evil in the world. And sometimes you'll get a thought of goodness and kindness and love, or you'll get a thought of evil or doing or saying something bad. But the only way those thoughts can get into the world and cause and effect in the world is through human action. So I realized that if I want a better world and a more kind world, and I want more love and more kindness coming into the world, then it can't just be a thought. It has to come out of my thought, and I have to bring it into the world physically. I have to be love, and I have to be kindness for other people. And the same goes with evil. Like if you get a thought for evil, you have to physically do it. You have to physically say those words. Otherwise, it doesn't come into the world. So through everything we went through in our family, I just want to say to you guys, like, let's be the force for good in the world. Let's do more. Let's bring that kindness into the world. There's enough bad in this world. There's enough evil getting into our world. Let's be kindness. And it takes us. We have to do it. We have to take those steps. We have to be love, and we have to be kindness for others. And that's the one thing that I really was a good lesson for me through this whole traumatizing experience. I could look back and say, you know what? There were so many times that I failed other people when they were going through the worst moments of their life. And when I was going through one of the worst moments of my life, it meant so much to me when people came through. They followed through on their thought of kindness. They followed all the way through, and they brought it into my life. And that was so healing for me. And I wanted to be that for others. Okay, I feel like I'm rambling. But have a great day, and I hope you all are safe. And please lock your doors. And I pray for each and every one of you that you'll feel God's presence. And if anyone's going through anything right now, I pray for healing, and I pray that you're surrounded by love and kindness, and that you are able to move on and to heal from any event in your life that's traumatizing or hard. All right, have a great day. Bye.